Kidnapped schoolgirls, rampant and senseless violence, mass murder, destruction, ethnic cleansing, some even say genocide. These may not be words normally associated with economic powerhouse Nigeria, yet thousands are murdered each year by extremist terrorist organisation Boko Haram in the north of the country. Communities are being burned to the ground. Poorly equipped Nigerian soldiers protecting defenceless civilians are being massacred, whilst people living in poverty are having what little they have taken from them on a daily basis. This simply can't go on. So why isn't the world acting? For whatever reasons, the media simply isn't reporting on the persecution of the Nigerian people, and what little news there is doesn't cover the extent of the horrors happening. Our contacts on the ground have sent us heartbreaking footage of mass graves, burnt villages, and unspeakable devastation as the world turns a blind eye. This is unacceptable, and we have to do something. So the team at Vans Without Borders are once again volunteering to make a real difference and both deliver more vital supplies to conflict areas in Nigeria and report on the realities of the situation to force the international aid lobby to act. My name is Jack Ross, and I'm the founder of Vans Without Borders, an award-winning humanitarian organisation that has helped thousands of refugees in conflict zones, alongside exposing war crimes to millions online, that has helped bring about meaningful support for people in need. Our plan is to head over in early 2026 and bring fresh supplies for displaced Nigerian communities and equipment for frontline medics. This will be alongside documenting and forging new networks of contacts to help establish aid pipelines where we can ship medical equipment such as hospital beds, medicine and tourniquets to organisations that can be trusted to further distribute them to hospitals and medical outposts. We have already paid out of our own pockets to send bandages and other medical supplies to frontline areas, but we need your help to raise funds to provide more serious support. With your support, you'll be able to enable us to take our mission to the next level, so please give generously. If everyone who watched this gave £5, the price of a coffee, we can make a real difference and help ease the suffering. Alongside donating, if you want to support us, please share this video, comment and post our crowdfunder everywhere. Unlike multinational NGOs, no one in our team gets paid. We are all volunteers, so 100% of the money donated goes towards providing relief to those who need it most. Help us try and put a stop to the horrors. Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in. My name is Jack Ross. I'm the founder of humanitarian organisation Vans Without Borders, and for all of those watching on Turning Point, I'm also the CEO of Turning Point, and Vans Without Borders is an organisation we've decided to support. Might be a bit biased because I was the founder, but we've done some good work together already. So a lot of people don't know, but Turning Point actually sponsored our Vans Without Borders van the first time we actually went into Ukraine to deliver aid to frontline areas to help civilians, that kind of thing. We're big believers in Christian charity and helping people in need across the world. And so we're expanding out now to Nigeria and also to report on the realities of the situation in Nigeria. So I'm sure many of you have seen organizations like the BBC have put counter narratives out saying, no, there's no persecution of Christians, no, it's banditry. And having spoken to people in Nigeria from cross-community groups, both Muslims and Christians, say that Christians are being persecuted by extremist factions. So you have two main attackers on the Christian population in Nigeria. You have the Fulani tribesmen. So these are people, I think there's 15 to 20 million of them across West Africa. They're a nomadic group. They're the largest nomadic group in the world. Because of their nomadic status, they end up settling on land, and they have large herds of cattle which need to eat crops. And so they go into, not all of them, but an amount of them go into Christian villages. They burn down the houses, they kill the residents and drive them off the land so they can use that land to feed their cattle. So there's an argument, is it Islamic terror or is this banditry? But ultimately, the attacks weren't too bad, but someone has recently armed the Fulani tribesmen with some, military grade weaponry, which they are using against innocent communities. And then obviously you've also got the Islamic State West Africa province, which is ISIS, but in West Africa, and they are directly targeting Christians and kidnapping them and carrying out brutal attacks on these communities, to the extent that since 2009, over 50,000 Christians in Nigeria have been killed, over 2,000 Christian schools have been destroyed, and over 18,000 churches have been burnt down. So this is one of the reasons we're going to Nigeria, to report on what's actually happening and to bring the truth to you guys back home. Unbiased truth. If we go there and it turns out it is just bandits killing people, that's what we'll report. But I think we all know there's something a lot more sinister going on over there. But I'm thrilled to be joined tonight by Adamu. He's our guy on the ground in Nigeria. He's a former Nigerian soldier who actually fought ISIS, and I'm sure he can share an insight with you about what's happening over there. So here's Adamu. How are you?
Yeah, thank you so much, Jax. Thank you for having me here.
Perfect. And so, Anna, if we just jump straight into it, can you tell us a little bit about your military service and what you got up to in Nigeria fighting against Boko Haram?
Yeah, my name is Adam Abubakar. I'm a former Nigerian Army Special Force Commando. So yeah, I joined the Army in 2013. Posted to 3 Div, that means 3 Armor Division. Then after my service in the Armor Division for some few of years, I was transferred to Maiduguri, that's the front line, where the fighting is heavy between the Nigerian forces, we and the ISIS. I spent 4 years, 6 months in the Maiduguri fighting the extreme group before I was transferred to another unit, which is still combating the bandit, and some of the bodies of the Islamic State that were spread in the northern part of the country. Yeah.
And so when were you discharged from the army?
Yeah, I discharged in 2024.
So tell us a little bit about what's happening in Nigeria. So what's happening with the Islamic State? Why are they attacking communities? And what's happening, I guess, in terms of the persecution of people in the north of the country?
Well, the Islamic State, which the extreme group, I believe those people, they are not Muslims. In fact, they are not even good Muslims. They should stop counting on by blackmailing Islam's names in the name of fighting for Islam, because there is no verse in Islam that God asks anyone to fight for him. The way they kill and behind innocent people, innocent Christians and innocent Muslims. The fighting is just about their own extreme ideas, because I believe they are not fighting for God or fighting for any betterment of innocent Nigerians or innocent people.
And why are they, choosing to go around and kill people and kidnap people? What's your understanding of it?
Well, as we see years back in Syria and Iraq, what happens in Mosul and Iraq is some ideology that was shared between their bodies across the African countries to attack and behind innocent people that refuse to combat to Islamic. I believe this ideology is not counting or being shared in any mosques in a good Muslim community, that you should kill or behind anyone who refuses to combat to Islam. Because even during the prophets, there is no such ideology that you should behind or kill anyone who refuses to follow your own religion.
And I guess we saw it was quite a strange situation. So you actually sent it to me where 160 Christians were kidnapped in Kaduna State, and we saw the videos, we saw it happen, but actually the local government claimed that it was a lie. And then 3 days later, they turned around and said, oh, no, it actually did happen. And they sent soldiers to Kaduna. Why do you think it was that they tried to cover it up at first?
Well, this security, I think there is a misunderstanding about the information which they have not verified about the incident, because those are rural areas where there is no communication. So I think the police or the other forces who debunk the information have no idea what happened, because it is a long journey to the rural area. They have no good networks that they can reach out to the police or any military information to inform them this is what is happening in our community. But the people there in the village have travel to the town and inform some of the news agency that this is what is happening in the so and so village. Then before the police went there and verified that yeah, there is a such kidnapping by the bandit across Christian community, which they attack two churches and kidnap 177 while they are on worship. That is an extreme idea. That is not a teaching of any of religious who ask you to attack worshippers or kill them. So that is the bandit where they are raiding the Christian communities currently now in Kaduna State.
I think that's the thing which I guess people don't understand is Nigeria is a massive country. I think it's about the size of Europe, Neron. And so you have so you have a lot of these very rural communities where, you know, they might not have mobile phones, they might not have phone signals. So you can have some really horrible stuff happening in parts of the country where it is quite remote and it doesn't get reported on, or when people do talk about it, they're called liars because maybe they don't actually have a phone, so they can't film anything. I saw the photos of the church afterwards, and you can tell it's a very poor community. There's, you know, they don't have pews; they sit on plastic chairs, and I think that's what's really sad is seeing some of the poorest people in the world being persecuted like this. What's the feeling in Nigeria about what's happening amongst the Nigerian people? Is there a big push for people to call for it to end it? Are the politicians on side? What's your perspective on it?
Sorry, one more time.
What's your perspective on how the Nigerian people see what's happening with Boko Haram? Are they wanting an end to it? Are there people trying to cover it up?
Well, the Boko Haram ideology is being spread from the kid from age of, I think, 5, 7 to because just of recent I was opportunity to interview some of the kids where just like maybe you live in Scotland, maybe okay, if you live in Scotland, there is a kid that are average age of 7 to 5, they will be sent to London to beg and feed themselves and be seeking for Islamic education. I was opportunity to interview some of the kids. I asked them, where are you from? They told me that they are come from far north. I was like, no, you are too young to be here. How old are you? Some of them identify they are 7 years, some say they are 10, some they are 5 years old. I was like, why don't you go to the Western schools like English schools? They were like, no, it is not good for them. It is prohibited to them. I was like, who told you so? But they refused to tell me that. So you see, the Boko Haram or ISIS ideology is being separate to the kid at the age of 5 or some other things like that. This is what I'm trying to look forward to fight for, because I don't see any reason that kid at the age of 5 will tell you that Western education is prohibited. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. A kids from age of 5, 6, 7, they will tell you that Western education is prohibited.
Well, this is, I guess, what Boko Haram means. It means the West is bad when it's translated.
Yeah, that's it. I have some of the video that I would like to share with you so that you can see what I'm trying to like. Because I interview them. They tell me that no, they don't want the Western education. I was, what the fuck? A kid from 5 years old, well, like, you don't want Western education? I was like, okay, what if you want to go to the study in the Western school? I will give you money. They were like, yes, they will. But without money, they won't study. This is fuck, totally fuck, man.
Well, I think this is what we see with extremists across the world, where they indoctrinate young people and from a young age. So actually, a lot of your Boko Haram fighters maybe have been told everything is the fault of the West. So I don't know, say their dad's killed, it's the fault of the West. Say the crops die, it's the fault of the West. And they're just brainwashed with this ideology to make them hate and make them carry out extreme violence. We saw it, I guess, as you said, in Syria. We see it in other conflict zones where one nation might come in and bomb something or something might go wrong. But these people are taught that it's always the fault of the West, and it builds a real hatred against us, which leads to radicalization and violence.
Yeah. I think this is what we need to focus on, like how to reach out to communities and about education, because without the Western education, most of the kids will be branded as they will be they will hate the West and the Western education, and they will carry out extremist activities in their technical age, like maybe like 15 or so. Yeah.
No, very worrying. And on that note, I'm going to play a quick video which I saw from the, it's a news report of what happened at the Kaduna church. So let me just play that and then I'll bring you back in, Adam.
All right.
Zakara kudikwa na zakara se azoto jeme jirada da yana na sha sachi so na zakara kuma iya yana duka suna nana cikin yar gari wannan ne na yore gari wannan iya yana duka da je su da dan wannan gani na sai to daga ni sai Allah
ashe sun riga sun mamaye garin gaba ki daya in ka gudu ka je can ka je ka same su in ka gudu can ka je ka same su sun tara mu sun kai mu can wancan ecclesian kurmiwalitu da sun kai wurin da mu sai sun buga mu mun ce mu je daji da sun buga mu mun tafi daji muna kan tafiya da sun kai wani wuri sai sun ji sun saya wurin nan buzun daji ne sun ce mana sun fara dukan mu mun je mun samu mashina da ogan a wurin sai sun fara dukan mu a wurin da sun gama dukan mu sun samu wurin su rauni.
Yeah, heartbreaking stuff there, and you can see the real impact on people. I've worked in Ukraine, and yeah, it just seems so similar. Where there's people who have literally lost everything. Their friends and family have been killed or kidnapped, and they just don't know what to do. And especially, as I said, when you've got people who don't have the resources that other people have, there is literally nothing they can do. They haven't got money to hire private detectives. The government won't help them. The police won't help them. They're really lost, and this is what we want to cover and report on. We want to show the world, these horrors are happening in a country which most people consider to be, developed. It's Nigeria's got one of the strongest economies in the world. It's got oil reserves. It's sort of known for its business, and it's seen as a real economic powerhouse. But it's having
can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Might be a bit of connection error there. I'll give us a thumbs up if you can hear.
I can't hear you.
Okay. Let me. All right, guys in the chat, can you hear us? Might be some technical difficulties there. I'm going to bring you out and bring you back in, see if that does the job. Adam, can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Hello. Right, sorry, bear with us, guys. I'm just going to play another clip while we wait, and I'll text Adam what to do in terms of rejoining. So this is actually the soldiers coming to Kaduna after they were initially said that the attack didn't happen and the kidnapping didn't happen. They then sent a large platoon of people there. But it looks like Adam is back, so I will add Adam back in. Adam, can you hear me now, mate?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, as I said, the network is kind of bad.
No worries.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think what oh, by the way, guys, you'll see there's a donation link in the description. We are powered purely by donations for this mission, and we will be distributing aid. Adam's actually very kindly got printed some cool bags where we're going to be distributing rice out of them. Let me find where they've gone. But as you see there, so we've already got the bags printed. They're going to be filled with rice. We're going to be distributing rice and other supplies to villages which have been directly affected by Boko Haram and Islamist terror. And so we'll be making sure to help people who have been hit the hardest, try and provide a bit of relief and hope to people who feel they've been abandoned. And I guess what I'd like to talk about next, Adam, is sort of to discuss actually the extent of these attacks. Because I think, you know, say we have an Islamist attack or a terror attack in the West, you're talking maybe 6 people maximum. But what you're seeing with these villages is you're getting, you know, almost 100 fighters turning up at these villages, all armed with guns, going in and rounding everyone up. So there literally is no room for escape. It's not something where you need, the police can't help. You need a large battalion to tackle that number of people. Could you describe to us actually what you've seen in terms of these attacks and what you understand about the widespread sort of use of troops out there that the Islamists have?
Well, about some of the attacks, currently I think we need some of the FPV drones so that the forces can be able to attack from behind or kilometers away from the front line, because some of the terrorists come migrate from state to another state to carry out some of the atrocities against the rural areas in some of the states in Nigeria, just like the Kaduna, because there is dialogue between the government and some of the extremists, so that because the government seems like it's better to have a dialogue so that people people will be safe from the kidnapping and unnecessary killings. But unfortunately, some of the terror broke the dialogues and come back to be attacking some of the villages and rural areas.
And I guess being in the army, how did you find it? Do you have enough equipment to fight Boko Haram, or are you very under-equipped?
Well, there is enough equipment to fight the terrorists, but you know, any terrorist group now, they are working based on ideology, sharing bad ideologies to people and recruiting people everywhere across the state that has most of the issue of the ISIS and Boko Haram stuffs.
I guess that's a real problem as well, the size of Nigeria, because you can't have troops everywhere. And so these guys can turn up out of nowhere, dip in and dip out. And I imagine they come from quite rural areas as well. So there won't be an advance warning that the attack's going to happen. And they kind of pop up out of nowhere. And I think that's the scary part of this. Like, I look at what I've seen in Ukraine, and both sides are pretty aware when someone's going to attack. It's probably the most watched front line in the world in terms of drone activity, security cameras, etc., etc. Whereas with Nigeria, these guys could pop up out of nowhere, and I think that's really quite worrying.
They are fucking crazy. They pop out from nowhere where you have no experience or expected from. Just for instance, where our guys were been in advance to clear all of the Islamic State terrorists around Maiduguri and elsewhere. There is a 2 suicide bombers attack that attack some of the troops. You see, some of the extreme activities is getting stronger, more than what you expected. The troops are making much effort to see how they can secure the country and bring in lasting peace, not just temporary. They have been doing their best to see how things will work.
Well, I think that's the worrying thing. As you say, they're resorting to suicide bombings, because you wouldn't expect suicide bombings in a country like Nigeria, but that is worrying. And I guess it goes back to that brainwashing that you said, where they're recruiting children as young as 5, 6, 7 years old, and they're telling them from a very young age that they're radicalizing them. And so when they're getting to 18, 19, 20, they're strapping them into suicide vests and sending them out to kill themselves and take out a load of civilians. It's horrific.
Absolutely, it's a very bad thing, because you can't brainwash a kid at the age of 10, is 5, 6, 7. and in the extreme group to fight for what is false, because I believe they are fighting for false flag. They have no idea what they are fighting for, because there is no verse, as I say, in Islam that asks anyone to kill anyone without to kill anyone in the name of you should convert to Islam or else you should be killed. I think that is their bad ideology where they share between their mix and some of the communities that they are controlling under themselves.
Definitely. And I guess you've liberated civilians who've been captured by Boko Haram before, if I'm right. Oh, hello. Oh, we might have lost Adam again. He's not got great connection out there at the moment, so I'll bring him out, and then when he comes back, if you can hear me, Adam, give me a wave. Or can you hear me again?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess you've been on missions where you've liberated captured civilians. Tell us a little bit about that. Can you describe a mission you've been on where you've saved people from Boko Haram? Oh, might have lost him again. Oh, are you back, mate?
Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Perfect. Did you hear my question?
Sorry, one more time.
So you've been on missions where you have liberated civilians from Boko Haram. Could you describe what it was like, the reaction amongst the guys, that kind of thing?
Well, most of our operation is about the rescue and attacking the enemy's camp, which we have been successful from day one up till now. Since when I was in the army, maybe you have heard of an operation that means the push has been reached the wall. That's the name of the operation. That is where we carry out most of the operation attacks, where we liberate a lot of people, where they are being kidnapped and being married to some of the terrorists, and most of the terrorists got married to them and pregnant them where they wanted. They have short of manpower, and they married to the innocent people that they got kidnapped in the towns, so that they can produce more babies for them and recruit them into their own extreme army. Some of the fighters now are using some of the local people that they were being kidnapped in some of the villages, rural areas where they control, and marry out to themselves, where you see some of them are getting married to 6 or 5 of the females and getting them pregnant to produce more babies that they will be used in their future jihad in their own system.
Understand. I think that's the worrying thing, where these guys control a lot of territory. They can, kidnap people, force them into marriages, rape them, produce children, and they've just produced more extremists as such, as these kids are brainwashed from there. Is really quite sad, and that's what makes it quite a complicated situation. It's not like, say, the UK, where we don't have anything like this. I guess you had the IRA before, but not to this extent. Not suicide bombings, not kidnapping and abducting people and then forcing them into marriages and to breed them. It's hugely worrying. And I guess maybe you can clear it up. One of the rumors, which I've certainly heard, is that there's a reluctance in the Nigerian government to tackle Boko Haram because there's concerns that if Boko Haram's destroyed, they'll lose foreign aid and that kind of thing. Is there any truth to that, would you say? Or
I think it's just some of the stories. Most of the propaganda are flying most of the places around countries in the global stage, because the government are doing all effort to see how they can bring end of these extreme organizations, because nobody is safe if the civil continue to grow, because their aim is to take over the country, which nobody will be welcome that ideology. We have lost a lot of good soldiers, good fighters, many men who has zeal to fight and to see this country is being safe. So there is no any talk about that the government don't want it to fight, or else the government are doing their best in their own part. But fighting people with ideology, they produce all the times and brainwash many people innocent with money, and some of them with food, because there is level of what is it called? There is level of some of the rural areas don't have food and medication that they can be able to.
Ooh, we might have lost him again. I do apologize, guys. He did say he's got not great connection at the moment, so I'll just might be back. Hi, Adam, are you back again? Sorry, we lost the end of that. So we heard up to they're using medication to sort of recruit people, that kind of thing.
Yeah, they use medication and some of them food items to see if they can be able to recruit most of the people, because some of the people cannot afford those items for themselves. That is some of the tactical, some of the tactic that the extremists are using so in some of the villages.
Yeah, I think that's horrific. You've got some of the most, again, Nigeria, very rich country itself, but there are a lot of poor people. It's quite a contrasting country in terms of wealth. So the wealthy do quite well, but poverty is real poverty. You know, people who can't afford, say, medication, can't afford to send their kids to school, and the extremists know how to exploit it. I saw it in Ukraine, in the Donbass, where the Russians would send spies in undercover with heroin or crocodile, and they'd go around giving it out free to people who are very poor. They don't have a lot of options. They get them hooked, and then they'd use that addiction to get them to carry out some very horrific attacks, including things like shooting soldiers in the street, or cutting lines, or attacking civilians. I saw a horrific video where someone walked up and pepper sprayed an old lady and beat the hell out of her. And again, heroin addicts are being recruited by the Russians. Very sad, and very sad to see these same sort of extremist extremist tactics are being used in Nigeria. I guess what we haven't heard much of, again, part of why we're going to Nigeria is to try and uncover the truth about things. But you had President Trump of America went and bombed Nigeria on Christmas Day. He said it was a Christmas present for Boko Haram as such. What was the reaction in Nigeria to that? Because I saw it was quite mixed. People didn't seem happy that Trump had come in and bombed the extremists. But from my point of view, if he's killing terrorists who are going out, kidnapping and blowing themselves up, it seems like a positive.
Yes. What I have to say here, most of the religions are being a victim of this extreme group, but the Christians are the primary target of those terrorists, because they believe those people are not Muslim, and they are still living in some of the states or some of the areas where they think that they will be in charge of those places in the future, but the army are showing serious resistance to fight them back. Some of the Christians live in some of the rural areas where the extreme, like the ISIS, can be able to reach out to them without having any resistance of the military coming to fight them, because some of the areas are in the thick forest, or let me say 100 kilometers or away from the town. So they are being a primary target of the Islamic State, because most of them, they are Christians, and they believe that, okay, you have to combat Islam, else or we kill you. So that's what their campaign is. So they mostly target the Christian communities in the forest.
I think that's what we want to expose with our mission as well, because we've got media outlets in the West who are trying to cover this up, and actually we want to uncover the truth, because there is a persecution of Christians. I will accept as well that Boko Haram are killing Muslims in Nigeria too. That's undeniable. But they do have, as you say, a direct focus on the Christian groups, because they want to forcibly convert them to Islam, and or their version of Islam as such. It's quite worrying, I think, from our perspective, that we've got state media bodies denying this is happening, when both Muslim and Christian communities are saying this is happening, it's horrible, and you've got people in the West saying, oh no, it's a lie, it's not true. How does that make you feel, Adam, knowing there's organizations in the West which are trying to cover up what Boko Haram are doing?
Well, I think maybe they were paid about not to expose the truth, but the Islamic State, which they want every Christian out of their main primary target of the territory. They target the innocent Christians more than the Muslim. But both faiths are victims of those extremist groups, but the Christians are their primary target in the sense that those people are not Muslims. But there is no, as I said, there is no any rules in Islam that asks you to forcibly convert anyone to Muslim. What they are doing is extremist. It's not the teaching of the Prophet or any of the messenger. So what they are doing is totally wrong and against the teaching of Islam to forcibly convert someone to Islam or to kill him because he refused to convert to Islam. So most of the Christian community in the bush and some other rural community, they were the primary target of the Islamic State of terrorism.
No, I'd love to actually discuss this further with you. Perhaps not on Vans Without Borders, because we've got to keep it non-political, but certainly from the Turning Point perspective, because it's very interesting. Because you're a Muslim, but you're signed up as a soldier and you fought Boko Haram, and I think that's one of the stories which isn't coming across in the West. That actually, the Christian and Muslim communities in Nigeria are united against this threat, and it's not trying to pit everyone against each other. It's actually looking at how can we get rid of these extremists and protect innocent people. Because from what I said, over 50,000 Christians have been murdered since 2009, but a lot of Muslims have been killed as well by this group. So why would you say that Boko Haram also targets Muslim communities in Nigeria as well?
Yeah, Boko Haram also target the Muslims in Nigeria because they believe, as I said, they believe we the Muslims are not the true Muslims. It's only them they are true Muslims. They believe that we are just together living peaceful with the Christians, and which is not okay for them. So the reason why they also attack Muslims, they see us as a betrayals, because Muslim and Christian live together in the northern and the southern part of the Nigeria. My best friend, which we grew up together, is a Christian. He taught me how to speak English very well during our studies in school. So I don't see no any reason that I will see no any reason who someone will tell me that I should attack your friend or kill him because he's non-Muslim. There is no any verse that says you should kill your friend or because he's Christian or because he's this, is that, is that. There is no any verse about that. So the ISIS, which they are Boko Haram, they see we the Muslims and the Christian both are primary target, but their main focus is the Christian.
And I guess taking a slight sidestep, so we've seen the Boko Haram attacks on Christian communities. Could you explain what's happening with the Fulani tribesmen? Because again, it's unclear what's happening, and they are, I guess, bandits. But from what I've been told, they have been armed and they have some sort of military-grade weapons now, and they're coming in and attacking communities in the north as well. So are they part of Boko Haram, or are they their own entity? Can you shed a bit of light on what the tribesmen are doing in terms of this conflict?
Well, the Fulani, some of the Fulani, there is good Fulanis and there is bad Fulanis, which the bad ones are the ones attacking innocent people, Christians, Muslim, and every faith that is in Nigeria. They are attacking for ransoms, or sometimes they went out and sack the villagers, asking the villagers to pay taxes to them, else they will sack them, kill or massacre the villagers. Both Christian community and Muslim community were brutally killed, and they were brutally killed and kidnapped because of they refused to pay those people taxes, which is not good or is not right in the constitution or in any part of the country. That those people are not the government force; they were armed and attacking innocent people in their villages. Nobody is their slave or nobody is working under them, but those people are attacking innocent Muslims and Christian communities.
And this is what I think is interesting, because you have Islamic State, West Africa province, ISIS in Nigeria, and they're killing because it's sort of a radical Islamist organization that believes they have the word of God, and they're coming in and they're killing everyone they see as an unbeliever. And then you have also these Fulani groups where they are bandits, perhaps they're driven by ideology, perhaps they're not, and they're also coming in and killing people. And this is what's being blurred in the West, where there's a effort to try and mask what's happening with the with ISIS, and they're claiming that it's actually bandits, it's the Fulanis doing it, and that's, I think, again, what is quite hard to grasp, because Nigeria is seen as, you know, a leading economy coming out of Africa, but you have these, you know, horrific killings happening across the country. And I guess what would you say the feeling is in like Abuja or Lagos, the safe areas? Is there a feeling to, you know, try and stamp this out, or do people not really care about it?
Many people care about it. Many people are not okay with this, the stuff that is happening in some part of the country. Because if you are happy, something happens to me tomorrow, you may be the next. So many people are very concerned about the situation currently in the country. And I believe the authorities are doing their best to see how they can bring those extremist groups like Bandit, Boko Haram, ISIS to justice. Because many people, innocent people, have died, and many people have been displaced from their homes, which this is what is bringing most of the out of school children and poverty in the country currently.
No, it's certainly concerning, but I will take this opportunity to say, if you have tuned in and you're interested in hearing more about what we're going to be doing in Nigeria, there is a link in the description where you can donate to Vans Without Borders, and we will be producing a documentary detailing exactly what is happening. It'll be a professional documentary, and it will be challenging sort of the bias at the moment and reporting around the atrocities happening in the country and reporting the truth. As I said, we're not interested in pushing an agenda. We simply want to find out the truth. We go there and it's like, oh no, it is all bandits, or it is gangsters. It's not this. That's what we'll report. But we're interested in saying, you know, proving what's happening and countering narratives via interviewing people who've been directly affected by ISIS, speaking to people like Adam, who's a former soldier who fought directly against ISIS, and interviewing his colleagues. And we'll also be distributing aid. So we'll be bringing rice, sanitary products, tins, water, whatever is needed to affected villages that have just been hit by Boko Haram, where people have been kidnapped, where people have been killed, where their houses have been burnt down. These people have lost everything. And we will be going over there to help provide them with some hope. And hopefully, off the back of it, we'll also be sending medical equipment out as well. So we want to go over to find out what the actual need is, to discover, uncover, you know, what we can do to help from Britain, and then ship some stuff over to help equip hospitals, to help victims and survivors, what we can do to maybe help rebuild the churches which are burnt down, rebuild communities that have been affected by Islamic extremism. And I've seen a few comments there saying, oh, what about Britain? Why do you care about Nigeria? It's like, because we can't bury our heads in the sand across the world. We have to challenge tyranny. We have to challenge extremism across the world, because if you don't stamp it out and you don't help people in need, one, no one will help us when it comes to our doorstep, but two, it spreads. You have to stamp things out where they originate, otherwise they spread. We saw it with Syria, where ISIS radicalized people, and then they came back to Britain and carried out attacks. We've seen it with Al Qaeda and what happened in America, 9/11, 7/7 bombings. You know, it spreads across the world. So it's our duty to try and help people and also try and nip it in the bud. And a lot of what we'll be doing is shining a light on what is happening in Nigeria to try and force action. Because when people don't report on it, the atrocities continue. When there's no news stories, people can massacre people at will. People can do whatever they want because there's no pressure on politicians to act. There's no pressure on local government to act. And actually, it was thanks to the online world that in Kaduna, people actually went and forced the local authorities to go and investigate after 160 churchgoers were kidnapped. Before, the state said, oh, no, it didn't happen. And they tried to cover it up for whatever reasons. Maybe they got it wrong. Maybe they didn't believe it. But it was only after pressure from the online community that they actually sent soldiers to go and find out what happened. So actually going in there and shining a light on what's happening will help. It will make a meaningful difference. So please, the link's there, website's there. Please go on and support us and enable us to do it, because we can only do it with your help as well. We need security vehicles. We need to work with local people. Very keen not to get kidnapped as well. So your help will let us have local security, local guides, help people like Adam travel around with us. So please do support us. But back to you, Adam. Can you what motivated you to join the army and fight against Boko Haram?
Well, the Estime Group campaign started in 2008 and then 2009, where they were campaigning about that Western education is prohibited. And then I was not in the age to be in the army. I was still, I think, 15 to 16 then. So I was like, this is something that is coming terrible, that is coming to hurt us down when we are in home. So I was having the zeal to see that, I should be in the army so that I can protect this country from age. So that's what gave me the zeal, because I'm so patriotic about seeing people being in peace, and this country should be somewhere else doing something good, not coming back. Because I think then when my father was watching some of the news, I've seen some of the extreme attacks in Afghanistan and some other stuff like that. When my dad was telling me that this is not the teaching of Islam and some other stuff like that, so I was having the mind that I have to be somewhere in where I can be able to protect people that can support and protect themselves.
Perfect. And I'm just going to play a video. So this video shows after there was online outrage, soldiers actually went to Kaduna to the church to investigate. So I'm just going to play this video. It's a 4-minute clip, and then we'll be back on after that.
waye sai dawo an tafi da kai ka dawo eh bari zo da Allah ina cikin wanda sun tafi da shi ga ciwo na kan shi ma kai na kuka so ka kai ku nan bayan dutse na hala yawa san ba za su yi nisa da wurin nan ba
Hopefully you can hear me, but yeah, this is the church which was where over 160 people were kidnapped from in Kaduna. Just having problems streaming, 2 seconds.
kai aka ka dawo
wallahi ta lokacin da na samu na kafsi da mun kai inda sun koyi mutane wannan da yarinya na hannu so da mun kai wurin mutum da muna da yawa to kwata-kwata wasu gidaje fadin state na gidan ba zai wuce kofar nan to da mun kai tun da muna da yawa mun yi cukun sosai na dan na dojin na shiga cikin wani daki ne da na shiga daki na sai na rufe daki to ba wanda da ya sai cikin lokaci Allah ya taimaka na shiga daki
kana ina ne aka tafi da kai kana wannan cikin ne
ina wancan
okay kuna ciki sai me ya faru
a lokacin da muna cikin church sai mun ji mutane suna yi to da na fita kenan sai na ga mutane kudu a bakin church namu da bindigogi.
So, sorry guys, we had an issue with the Facebook, but hopefully you're all back. And as you can see, this is the church. It's not an expensive building, and even you saw the congregation, they sit in plastic chairs. This is actually the pastor, so you can see he was actually beaten by Boko Haram. That's the injury on his head, but he was able to escape. Sadly, 160 of his congregation were not able to escape from Kaduna. As you see, you've got the soldiers documenting because people didn't believe that it happened, so that's why they're filming there. So what I'll do, I'll bring Adam back in as well. Adam, so you're from Kaduna, Adam. What's the feeling at the moment in terms of what's happening there? So we've just seen, you've got a pastor from a village. He's been beaten up. 160 of his congregation gone. How are the people of Kaduna feeling right now in response to that?
Honestly, nobody is happy about what has happened now, because if you are in the Kaduna right now, you will see that nobody is happy about this stuff. Many people are very angry about this thing and calling out the government to go over and rescue those innocent people that were being kidnapped during their worshiping times, because the Christian and Muslim all live in the same places. Because you have no idea, you can't even differentiate this is Muslim or Christian, because everybody lives in the same community and live in peace. Most of the people that are bringing issue between Muslim and Christian are the bandits.
Oh, we might have lost. Oh no, got you back, Adam. Yeah, I think this is what's interesting. A lot of people don't understand, maybe compared to other conflict zones, is in Nigeria, Christians and Muslims, they do live side by side. There's not the same sort of hostility as you see in maybe other countries, maybe countries like Syria, or I probably shouldn't name too many countries because I might get in trouble. But certainly in Nigeria, there is a peace, a unity. People don't see each other as Christian Muslim divide. They all get on within the civil population. But then you do have these extremists on the outside who coming in, kidnapping, murdering Christians, as well as some Muslims as well. But there is that united feeling where they want to get rid of them. They want to just go back to being peaceful. I think Nigeria is quite a business-oriented country. So I imagine most people just want to crack on with business, make a bit of money, and live a good life. But tell us, Adam, have there been any? You were a soldier who fought against Boko Haram. Have there been any hairy moments, any missions where you went on where you thought, "Oh God, this isn't great," but you managed to pull through and turn it around?
Well, we don't have any European soldiers currently on the ground. But I believe in the future, someday it will happen. We will work side by side and still make some efforts to see how we can be able to bring those Islamic State terrorists to justice, just like the way the government are putting more effort doing in the front lines currently now.
And so what was your role in the army? So were you a sniper? Were you attack? What role did you have?
Well, I'm a gunner. I'm a gunner into the anti-aircraft. That's Jushka and a QJC-88 gun. Yeah.
And I guess having seen how Boko Haram fight, how would you describe it? Do they fight like a military? Are they well trained? Are they poorly trained? Do they randomly attack? What's been your experience fighting them?
Well, they fought like professional soldiers. And some of them, there is, I think, most of their fighters from Syria, who they came to and trained them and still radicalized them into the same group they came from down from, I think, Syria or Iraq. I have some of the portrait of some of their instructors that came from most of those countries into the ISIS cell in Nigeria.
And who's funding them? Because I've certainly seen lots of images on your profile on Instagram where they've got some pretty heavy artillery, they've got some expensive weaponry. Who's paying for that?
Well, I believe their headquarters in Syria and Iraq. I think those people are the main founders of those extreme groups that spread across most of the states, countries in Africa currently.
And what happens to the people when they're kidnapped? So we saw, I think it was about 10 years ago, hundreds of schoolgirls got kidnapped, but that's just a very small snapshot. Like thousands of people are being kidnapped. Do they have a chance to escape, or once they're taken, they're fairly stuck there?
No, none. They don't have any chance to escape because they were being guided. I think most of their cells, they have some cells that they used to detain some of their fighters and other peoples. So there is no way for them to escape. You can be escaped maybe. I think where some of them can be able to escape if some of the fighters took them to their houses. Maybe they wanted to fornicate with them. Maybe they can be able to escape through them. That's maybe ways they can be able to escape. I was in Dapchi where they kidnapped some of the school girls. Maybe you have seen the report. I was there when we rescued some of the children during the rescue operation in Dapchi. That is the second school that was being attacked and kidnapped by the Islamic State in Yobe State.
And I guess what did the schoolgirls say had happened to them when they were kidnapped?
Some of them were being radicalized, being brainwashed that okay, they should come and join them if they have willing to be with them. They can be able to keep them back.
Bit of like Stockholm syndrome and such.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough stuff. But Adam, is there anything else you'd like to say to the audience before we start to wrap up? I appreciate it's 10 o'clock in Nigeria at the moment, so I feel bad keeping you out too late.
Well, I'm calling all the audience, please donate to Bands Without Border because we have something important that we will be doing here in Nigeria. This is not the beginning, but not nearly the ending. This is something that will help humanity, will help everyone to be in the system where they can be able to acquire more knowledge that they can be able to teach some of their kids and save lives. This mission is about saving lives and humanity. Please donate to Bands Without Border. We have important things to do here.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time, Adam.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. God bless.
God bless. So that was Adam. He's our main contact in Nigeria, and he served in the Nigerian army directly fighting against Boko Haram. So he's Operator NGR on Instagram. So please do drop him a follow. He's a really good guy. As he said, he's literally been there and liberated kidnapped schoolgirls from the Islamic State in Nigeria. And now, after being discharged from the army last year, he runs a humanitarian organization providing support to villages which have been targeted by Boko Haram. Really good guy, very excited to go out and meet him properly and help provide humanitarian support to those villages. So for those who've just tuned in, my name is Jet Ross. I'm the CEO of Turning Point UK, hence why you might be seeing us on Turning Point, but I'm also the founder of a humanitarian organization called Vans Without Borders, and we'll be planning to head over to Nigeria shortly. Unfortunately can't give exact dates due to security concerns, but flights are booked, visas being sorted at the moment, and we'll be providing support directly to villages which have been targeted by Boko Haram, largely Christian communities who have been slaughtered. And we'll also be recording a documentary to report on the truth. As many of you are aware, groups like the BBC have been have been saying, "Oh, there's no persecution of Christians," and it's become quite politicized. Where I spoke to Adam, it's quite apparent that Islamist extremists are persecuting Christians. They're also persecuting moderate Muslims as well, but there is a particular focus on the Christian communities, and over 50,000 have been murdered since 2009. But you won't hear about it on the news. Thousands are kidnapped each year. So a lot of what we're doing is trying to shine a light on what is happening in the north of the country, and hopefully force some change, force some action, because whilst it's not being reported on, it allows extremists to carry out horrific attacks without any consequences. It allows the kidnappings to keep going on because there's no pressure, international pressure on politicians, on local community leaders, on actually taking action and stamping it out. We've heard from contacts over there that there's some people who actually profit out of this, where they get grants to go and stamp out the radical extremists in Boko Haram, and then when they get close to wiping them out, they then pull the soldiers back because they're worried that if they completely finish them off, the funding will stop, which is incredibly messed up because it leads to thousands more people getting killed because people want to line their pockets. So we also want to expose things like that. We want to call out the corruption, and we want to say, actually, we've got to stamp this out. And yes, I get it. There's people saying, oh, charity starts at home in Britain. But as we saw with Syria, as we saw with Afghanistan, these organizations radicalize people and then they come over to Britain as well and carry out attacks. So we need to nip it in the bud before it spreads. I don't know if you heard, but when Adam was on, he said they're already having cases of suicide bombings in Nigeria. I've not seen anything like that reported in the news, but that's hugely problematic, because when people have that level of extremism, that level of radicalization, who knows what they will do next. And then alongside exposing what's happening, will also be delivering support, aid, humanitarian assistance to villages that have just been hit by Boko Haram. So where people have been kidnapped, where churches have been burnt down, where schools have been destroyed, where homes have been destroyed, we'll be going and providing support to people who have lost all hope. And what's worrying, as I mentioned earlier, in Kaduna, you had 160 people kidnapped in a rural village, but because it was so remote, people said it didn't happen. So these attacks are happening all across the north of Nigeria, and unfortunately, they're not being reported on, which allows them to continue. So we'll be going over to report on that. But as I said, the link is in the description if you'd like to donate. We're powered by your donations. Everything you give will go directly to helping people. I don't get paid for this. My team doesn't get paid for this. We're doing it because we feel it's the right thing to do. So we could do with your support. So thank you very much for tuning in. If you do have any questions, feel free to message the page, message the website, and together hopefully we can make a meaningful difference. But no one else is doing this. Everyone says, oh, it's too dangerous, don't go there, etc., etc. But we're going to go because no one else is doing it. And if people won't step up to the plate, for evil to prosper, good men must do nothing. If you're interested in joining future missions, future trips, getting involved in humanitarian work, again, drop us a message. But thank you for watching, and I wish you a good rest of your evening and have a nice weekend. Take care.